militarism. For Pakistan-US relations, let me talk about that and then come back to connect it to where I was. Our relations with the United States remains one of the most important relationships for us. Why? Because the grain of this relationship is very positive. When Pakistan was born in 1947, these were the conditions which created a sense of deep insecurity in Pakistanis. We were a new nation which was forming all its state infrastructures and trappings of sovereignty from scratch. The United States appeared as a benevolent face right at that time. Your universities became our first destination to send our children to come back to the country. Green revolution of the 50s and the 60s was caused by US universities collaborating with Pakistan's agricultural institutes. And people still remember, I was a young kid in 1960s. I remember railway wagons and locomotives with a handshake of the two flags. And this image has etched in my memory like in many others of my generation. So we worked together during 50s and 60s during the Cold War. We worked together in Afghanistan during the 80s, and we worked together most recently in the 2000s to eliminate Al-Qaeda. If you don't see Al-Qaeda today, an organization that has caused 9/11, it is because Pakistan and the United States worked together and eliminated it. We are proud of that achievement. But we also see that Pakistan is sometimes viewed in the United States through either of the four lenses. The first one is more topical and more urgent, which is Afghanistan. There is a feeling in the US that the reason why US is not winning in Afghanistan is because in Pakistan, Taliban and Haqqanis have safe havens who cross border, kill American and Afghan soldiers and return to the safe abodes in Pakistan. And I say to my American interlocutors, are you sure this is the be-all and end-all of Afghanistan? There are huge issues of governance, issues of corruption, and Afghan national security forces, created with great deal of hard work, unfortunately are losing territory according to US reports. There's a body created by US Congress called SIGAR, Special Inspector General for Afghan Reconstruction, who issues every quarter a report. The last one just came days ago, according to which 44% of the territory of Afghanistan is not under the government control. The BBC, which carried out the similar survey on January 30th, says that it's 70% of territory is not under government control. So somewhere between 44 to 70% of that huge country is not under government control. There are, to the best of my information, 20 recognized terrorist outfits operating in Afghanistan, with Daesh, ISIS being the latest arrival there. Then there is roaring drug trade. An area more than the area of Rhode Island state is under cultivation of opium, more than 3,000 square kilometers of area. According to UNODC report, which is endorsed by SIGAR, only from 2016 to 2017, there was a 63% increase in cultivation and 87% increase in production. And if you take it to 9/11 it has probably been 3,400 times grown. According to UN figures, there is an estimated $400 million available to militants to buy arms and to continue the war. Within the Afghan National Security Forces, there is a high desertion rate who go to the other side with weapons and everything else that they have. Several US generals have testified before the US Congress that the corruption level is so much that not only the salary doesn't reach these soldiers, but even their food rations and uniform doesn't reach them. There are growing, according to SIGAR, there are growing green on green attacks and green on blue attacks. I hope you understand what it means. And when somebody tells us that Afghanistan is just because Pakistan is supporting certain militants, I think they are missing the point. Pakistan does not support Taliban or Haqqanis. Their worldview is not the worldview that is shared by the people of Pakistan. We are squeezing space on them and we will continue to do that. Our message to them is very clear. You are Afghans and you join the political mainstream and give up violence and go to Afghanistan. So we are pushing them, denying them the health facilities, denying them the accommodations, sniffing them out of the 51 refugee camps that we have, Afghan refugee camps, who have lived there for 38 years, 3 million of them. And we will continue to do that. But that may not be enough. Because we know that the border is open and porous, and they could always be, they could be coming back. And since August 21 strategy announced by United States present administration, it has to be a conditions-based approach. Under President Obama, the argument goes that since he was withdrawing or drawing down, the Taliban probably had a feeling that they could time the US out. And therefore, the new strategy says that it will be a conditions-based approach, which means that the United States will stay in Afghanistan as long as its objective is achieved. What is the United States' objective? The stated objective of the United States in Afghanistan is that Afghanistan should not become the kind of safe haven that it did before 9/11, which is occupied by militants who in turn stage incidents like 9/11. Are we closer to that objective with 44 to 70% of territory now occupied by 20 recognized terrorist outfits, including Daesh, who have come and made hideouts, safe havens in eastern Afghanistan bordering Pakistan? So I believe that the United States still has work to do and Pakistan has work to do to help Afghanistan stabilize, not because the people of Afghanistan have suffered enough. That is, of course, the most important objective. They need a break. But also because we believe that Soviets had left, Americans would leave, others would leave, but Pakistan and Afghanistan have to live together. Geography cannot be changed. And every time Afghanistan is unstable, the instability flows through the porous, treacherous borders towards Pakistan. This is a lesson we have learned from history. And therefore, in Pakistan, there is a conviction that Afghanistan must become stable, peaceful, sovereign, independent country. We do not treat Taliban as our hedge or as our pet, because, as I indicated to you, their worldview is not the worldview that the people in Pakistan share. And if they come to power by force in Kabul, we should be hell worried, because they have their own lives on our side of the border. And therefore, our view and our message is very, very clear. That while the United States, for which it is becoming a long war, and there are books being written about it, that it must not become another Vietnam, I think Pakistan and the United States must work together to bring that peace in Afghanistan and eliminate and finish up the work we had done. There are other questions that you can ask, and I leave it to the question answer session, like, what then is this